Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your journey. And I want to thank you for having the courage to be on the journey, for asking the question, for looking in to see those places in your life that need a little extra attention. That's a very courageous thing to do. Most people don't have that courage. They just live, they bury, they numb those places, they ignore them. Maybe they try to cover them with bravado rather than examining their weaknesses or their places or their blind spots. But you're here, you're listening. And so that is a great statement to say that you are at least asking the question. And that takes courage. It takes courage to look inside of us and see those places that maybe need a little extra attention. It takes courage to acknowledge that we don't have it all perfect, that we don't have it all together, that we're not the specimen or the being that we portray ourselves to be. So good for you. Good for you for being here. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome aboard. If you've been coming back, then I'm glad to have you back. Either way, it's a joy to be walking with you today. If this podcast is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these episodes. Share them. Tag me in it. I'd love to see where you are. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, then follow us, give us a rating and review. It tells the platform people are listening, and you'll get a notification when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, gracelifecoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you, gracelifecoaching.com. So I want to walk us into another series here, something that's pretty important, something that I think we really need to spend some time on. All of us really need to spend some time on. And that is the power of rest. Rest. I want to dedicate these sessions to helping you live a healthier, more balanced, and more meaningful life. And through that, we're going to talk about rest. Yes, you heard me, rest. This episode, we're going to talk about one of the biggest lies many of us believe, and that is rest is laziness, okay? Somewhere along the line, many of us learn that being busy equals being important, that working longer means being more committed, that slowing down is a sign of weakness. But what if we've been getting it wrong? What if we've been getting it wrong? What if rest isn't the opposite of productivity? What if rest is what makes productivity possible? Let's explore today why we rest and why rest is not laziness, why so many people struggle with rest without guilt, and how reclaiming rest might actually change your life. So let's do that. So let me ask you a question. When someone asks you how you're doing, how often do you answer with, I'm busy, I'm exhausted, I've got so much going on? For many people, busyness has become a badge of honor. It's almost as if we're competing to prove who has the most stressful life, right? We fill every moment. We answer every meme. We answer emails while eating lunch. We scroll social media while watching television. We listen to podcasts, which I'm really happy that you're doing, while we're driving. We take calls while we're walking. We work through vacations. We carry our jobs in our pockets through our smartphones. And the result? We are constantly doing, constantly moving, constantly consuming information. Yet despite all of this activity, many people feel more tired, less fulfilled, and more overwhelmed than ever. The truth is simple. Being busy and being productive are not the same thing. Being busy and being productive are not the same thing. And being productive and being healthy are not the same thing either. Activity alone is not a measure of success. Sometimes activity is simply a distraction. Sometimes activity is avoidance. And sometimes activity is a refusal to acknowledge that we're tired, We are a very tired people, okay? Many of our beliefs about rest started long before adulthood. Maybe you grew up in a household or in a place hearing things like, don't just sit there, or get to work. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Hard work never hurt anybody. Are those statements resonating inside of you? I know they resonate inside of me. Now, hard work is valuable, no doubt. Discipline matters. Commitment matters. Responsibility matters. But many people accidentally learn a second message. Your value comes from what you produce. If you're not producing, you're not valuable. If you're resting, you're wasting time. If you're slowing down, you're falling behind. Those messages become deeply rooted. They follow us into adulthood. They whisper into our ears when we try to take the day off. They show up when we sit down to relax and suddenly feel guilty. They convince us that we have to earn rest, that rest is something to be earned. But here's the problem. Human beings were never designed to function like machines. We were never designed to go and go and go. And yet even machines require maintenance. Athletes require recovery. The earth has its own seasons of rest. Everything in nature follows rhythms. Work, rest, activity, recovery, growth, and renewal. Yet somehow we've convinced ourselves that we should be the exception, that we shouldn't have to rest, that we shouldn't rest, that rest is something that we have to earn, and we've never earned it, okay? So let's talk about what happens when you ignore the need for rest. You know, the costs aren't always obvious at first. You might simply feel tired. Then you become irritable. Then your patience grows shorter. Your focus weaknesses. You forget things. You lose motivation. You stop enjoying the things that you once did. Your relationships suffer. Your creativity drives up. Your body begins sending warning signs. Things like headaches, poor sleep, anxiety, low energy, lack of enthusiasm. Many people try to solve these problems by pushing harder. You know, more coffee, more work, more effort, more pressure. But exhaustion cannot be cured by more exhaustion. Eventually, your body says, if we don't rest voluntarily, I'll make you rest. And that's often when burnout arrives, either exhaustion, either mental burnout, physical burnout, illness, things of that nature. So you see, there are implications to not resting, and they may not just show up one day. They're slow, but cumulative. And by the time they show up, it can be really disastrous. Okay? Can be really disastrous. So rest is so vitally important. Rest is such a vital, important part of our being. Now, let's really talk about what rest is. Let's redefine rest. You know, when you think about rest, you may think about going to bed, getting a good night's sleep, and that's important. Sleep is a form of rest. But rest is more than just sleep. Rest is not doing nothing. Rest is doing what renews you. Okay, so think about that. Rest is not doing nothing. You know, some people are like, I need to rest, so they just sit down and do nothing. But do they truly do nothing? No, they usually pick up their phone and they're scrolling or, watching television or what have you. No, rest is not doing nothing. Rest is doing what renews you. And that's different for all of us. For one person, rest might mean sitting quietly with a cup of coffee on the back porch, okay? For another, it might mean walking through the park. For someone else, it could mean reading a book or taking a nap or gardening or fishing or praying or journaling or spending time with family. Rest doesn't have to be inactivity, though inactivity is something that our body can handle from time to time. Rest is restoration, okay? The question isn't, am I doing something? The question is this restoring me or depleting me? Many people spend entire weekends doing things that continue to drain them. Then Monday arrives and they wonder why they don't feel refreshed. True rest restores you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. All right? It leaves you with more energy than when you started. And that may be sitting on the couch doing nothing. That may be taking a nap. That may be going for a walk. That may be going to the gym and exercising. When we think about rest, we think about resting our bodies. And we do need to do that. But it's not just resting our bodies. It's about resting our minds and our spirits and our emotions. About stepping away from that stress and restoring ourselves. About refilling our buckets so we can go out and face the world. Okay? But here's the thing, for a lot of people, rest is uncomfortable. I know that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, like it doesn't really make sense. But for a lot of people, rest is uncomfortable. See, the hardest part of rest isn't finding the time. The hardest part is sitting still long enough to notice what's happening inside of us, right? When life gets quiet, thoughts get louder. And then we have those things like unfinished grief or unresolved stress or disappointment or fear or loneliness or questions. Many people stay busy because busyness keeps them distracted. Rest removes distractions. And while that can feel uncomfortable, it can also be very healing. When we stop running, we finally hear ourselves. We notice what needs attention. We reconnect with what matters most. Rest creates space for clarity. That's why rest can be so uncomfortable, because there's a lot of things in a lot of people's lives that they don't want clarity on. They don't want to look at. They don't want to deal with that unresolved grief or that stress. They don't want to confront that disappointment or that fear or that loneliness or those questions. So they just keep moving and distracting. But rest creates a place of clarity. And that clarity, though very uncomfortable, it's also something that's very healing, because in clarity, we can begin to move forward. Okay? So there's different ways to think about rest. All right? Let's think about it differently. Imagine a professional athlete. No coach would tell them to train at maximum intensity every hour of every day. That would be crazy. They would burn out, because growth doesn't happen during activity. Growth happens during recovery. Muscles are strengthened during rest. Performance improves during recovery. The same is true for us. Your mind needs recovery. Your emotions need recovery. Your relationships need recovery. Your spirit needs recovery. Rest isn't something you do after everything is finished, because here's the truth. Everything will never be finished. There's always another email. There's always another project. There's always another responsibility, always another task. If you wait until everything is done before you rest, you will never rest. Instead, rest must become part of the process. Just like in athlete training, rest is just as important in the process as working out. Rest is just as important for muscle strength as exercising them. Okay? When rest is just something that happens when everything else is done, you will never rest. Instead, rest must become part of the process. Not a reward at the end, but part of the process itself. Rest becomes part of the very process of growth and advancement. Okay? So ask yourself, when was the last time I felt truly rested? Answer that question. Answer it honestly. Look, you could, if I were asking you that question, you could tell me whatever you wanted to tell me, and I would believe you. Why wouldn't I believe you? But this isn't about what I believe. This is about your advancement. This is about your growth. So be honest with yourself. Look into that question deeply. When was the last time I truly felt rested? What activities leave me feeling renewed? Do you ever do that? You go out and do something. I had, my wife and I had dinner with some friends here some time back, and it was really, really joyous. We had a great time. We felt good. We left feeling good. And it's like that. We need to do that more often. Yes, because that's rejuvenating. It's restoring us. Okay? What are the things that leave me feeling renewed? Spending time with friends, going to the park, taking a walk, reading a book. What activities leave me feeling drained? All right, when we can honestly say the things that renew us and the things that drain us, okay, we can become a lot clearer about where we need to lean into our energy. And here's another one. Do I believe rest must be earned? How did you grow up with rest? Is rest something that needs to be earned in your life? Or is it something that is coming naturally? What would change if you viewed rest as a necessity instead of an option? Okay? What would change if you viewed rest as a necessity instead of an option? Don't run past these questions. Spend some time thinking about them. Spend some time allowing them to bounce around inside of you. Your answers may reveal more than you expect about how you understand rest, where you allow rest to come into your life, how you grew up understanding rest. So I want to give you this challenge. I want to give you this challenge when we talk about this, okay? Here's your challenge. Schedule one uninterrupted hour of rest. Not productivity, not errands, not multitasking, rest. Okay? Turn off notifications. Put away distractions. Choose something that genuinely restores you. Maybe you've been thinking for a long time, I'd really like to ... Well, do what you'd really like to do. That ... Spend an hour doing it. Okay? Choose something that genuinely restores you. Protect that hour as seriously as you would protect an important appointment, because it is an important appointment. It's an appointment with your own well-being. And pay attention to how you feel afterwards. If you need to schedule an hour of rest in your day, then do it. Put it on your calendar. If you need to call it you have an appointment with Dr. Rest, all right? Whatever you need to do, protect that hour. Because you may discover that 1 hour of intentional rest does more for your energy than several hours of mindless activity. This is about being intentional. This is about intentionally scheduling rest. Put it in your day. Put it in your life. Make rest important and see how it affects you. Remember, you are not a machine. You are not defined by your productivity. Your worth is not measured by how exhausted you are. Rest is not laziness. Rest is wisdom. Rest is preparation. Rest is restoration. Rest is an investment in the life you want to live. So be kind to yourself. Give yourself permission to rest, because sometimes the most productive thing you can do is pause. That's what I got for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. I really do. If it is, please share it out there. Put it out there in your social media feeds. Like I said, I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these episodes. And if you're on one of the listening platforms, follow us, give us a rating and review. I'd love to hear if this is good stuff for you. And if you want to reach out to me, please do. GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. It's got my contact information. If we can do some coaching together, if you've got some questions, if you just really want to dig into one of these topics a little bit more, I truly would love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com. Because at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.